Whispering Pines. The name itself sent shivers down your spine. Whispering Pines was not just any ordinary town. It was a place where the air felt thick with secrets, and every corner seemed to hide a story waiting to be uncovered. It was a small town, nestled deep within a valley, surrounded by dense, ancient woods. These woods were not just any woods, they were ancient, with trees that seemed to have witnessed centuries of untold events. The woods were always shrouded in mist. This mist was not just a natural phenomenon, it felt almost alive, as if it had a mind of its own, wrapping the town in a perpetual state of twilight. They seemed to watch the town, like a predator eyeing its prey. The trees stood tall and menacing, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, casting eerie shadows that danced in the fog. The houses were old, Victorian style, their paint peeled, their gardens overgrown. These homes, once grand and full of life, now stood as silent witnesses to the passage of time, their windows like hollow eyes staring out into the void. The streets were eerily quiet, except for the rustling leaves and the occasional shriek of a crow. The silence was almost deafening, broken only by the whispers of the wind and the distant calls of unseen creatures. Whispering Pines had a dark history, a history that was not spoken of openly but rather hinted at in hushed tones and furtive glances. Locals whispered tales of strange occurrences and unexplained disappearances. Stories of people vanishing without a trace, of ghostly apparitions seen in the dead of night, and of eerie sounds that echoed through the streets. But these were just stories, or so everyone thought, until recently. Recently, the whispers had grown louder, the tales more frequent. Something was stirring in Whispering Pines, something that had been dormant for far too long. The town was on the brink of revealing its darkest secrets, and those who dared to uncover them would find themselves entangled in a web of mystery and danger. The question was, who would be brave enough to face the unknown, and what would they discover in the heart of this enigmatic town? It started subtly, a lone hiker disappearing in the woods, a shopkeeper locking up for the night, never to be seen again. At first, it was dismissed as people moving on or running away, but then the disappearances escalated. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The once peaceful town was gripped by fear. The disappearances had no pattern, no apparent motive. No one was safe. Fear became a constant companion. It was as if the very essence of the town had been swallowed by an unseen force, leaving behind an eerie stillness that gnawed at the edges of sanity. It hung heavy in the air. You could taste it, smell it. It permeated everything. The fog that rolled in each morning seemed to carry whispers of forgotten memories, chilling the bones of anyone who dared to venture outside. People were afraid to leave their homes. The once vibrant community had turned into a ghost town with curtains drawn tight and doors bolted shut. The streets, once filled with laughter and chatter, now echoed with an unsettling silence. Afraid to go out alone, afraid of the unknown, children were kept indoors. The playgrounds, once a haven of joy and innocence, stood abandoned, their swings swaying gently in the wind, a haunting reminder of happier times. Their laughter replaced by anxious whispers. Conversations, if they happened at all, were conducted in hushed tones, as if speaking too loudly might summon the very thing they feared. The once bustling town square was deserted. The silence was deafening. The market stalls, once brimming with fresh produce and lively banter, now stood empty, their colors faded and their wares long gone. It was broken only by the howling wind and the creaking of old houses. The wind seemed to carry with it the voices of the past, a mournful song that spoke of loss and despair. The creaking doors and windows, once a sign of life, now served as a grim reminder of the town's desolation. Looking back, there were signs, eerie incidents, dismissed as coincidence or tricks of the imagination. But now, they took on a sinister meaning. People reported seeing strange lights in the woods, hearing whispers on the wind. Animals were acting strangely. Dogs barked incessantly. Birds refused to sing. It was as if nature itself sensed something was wrong. Section 5. The Missing Persons. A pattern emerges from the chaos. As more people vanished, a chilling pattern began to emerge. Each disappearance occurred during the new moon, when the night was darkest. The victims were all different ages, different backgrounds, but they all had one thing in common. They had all felt drawn to the woods, compelled by an unseen force, drawn into the darkness, never to return. Section 6. The Frustrated Sheriff. A small town's hope dwindles. Sheriff Brody was at his wits' end. A good man, a seasoned lawman, he was utterly baffled. The disappearances made no sense. There were no leads, no witnesses, no evidence. He had called for help from the state police, but they were just as clueless. The town felt abandoned, forgotten, left to face its fate alone. Section 7. Whispers in the wind. Theories and speculations run wild. With no explanation and no end in sight, rumors ran rampant. Wild theories spread like wildfire. Some whispered about an ancient curse, others a malevolent entity lurking in the woods. A few even spoke of a secret society operating in the shadows. But no one knew for sure. The truth, like the missing townsfolk, remained elusive. The darkness deepens. Another soul vanishes into thin air. Just when hope began to dwindle, another soul vanished. This time, it was Sarah Miller, a young teacher beloved by her students. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through Whispering Pines. Sarah was the embodiment of hope. Her kindness and warmth had been a beacon in the encroaching darkness. Now, even that light had been extinguished. Isolation and despair. The town holds its breath. Whispering Pines was a town on the brink. The weight of the unknown pressed down on its remaining residents. A palpable sense of despair settled over the town. The once strong community was fractured. People were suspicious of their neighbors, afraid to trust, afraid to become the next victim. The town had become a prison, its inhabitants trapped in a nightmare. A glimmer of hope? A mysterious clue surfaces, then a glimmer of hope. Sheriff Brody received an anonymous letter. It was cryptic, but it hinted at a connection between the disappearances and an old abandoned mine, located deep within the woods. Could this be the break they had been waiting for? Or was it another dead end? The town held its breath, praying for a miracle. The unsolved enigma, Whispering Pines' fate, hangs in the balance. This once thriving community now stands as a ghostly reminder of a mystery that has baffled investigators and residents alike for years. The streets, once filled with laughter and life, are now silent, shrouded in an eerie fog that seems to whisper secrets of its own. As I write this, the mystery of Whispering Pines remains unsolved. The town's history is marred by a series of inexplicable disappearances that have left families in anguish and authorities at a loss. Old newspaper articles chronicle the town's descent into obscurity, each headline more perplexing than the last. The missing are still unaccounted for. Their faces, immortalized on weathered posters, haunt the empty town square. Each poster tells a story of a life interrupted, of dreams unfulfilled, and of loved ones left behind, clinging to hope in the face of despair. The town is a shell of its former self, its fate hanging precariously in the balance. Buildings that once stood proud now crumble under the weight of time and neglect. The air is thick with a sense of foreboding, as if the town itself is mourning the loss of its inhabitants. Will the truth ever be revealed? The question lingers like a specter over Whispering Pines. Investigators have scoured every inch of the town and its surrounding areas, yet answers remain elusive. Theories abound, from the plausible to the fantastical, but none have brought closure. Or will Whispering Pines forever be known as the town where people vanished? Only time will tell. As the sun sets and the shadows lengthen, the town takes on an even more sinister appearance. The streets, bathed in the dim light of dusk, seem to hold their breath, waiting for a revelation that may never come. But one thing is certain: the woods surrounding Whispering Pines hold secrets, dark and terrible secrets. The dense forest, with its twisted trees and impenetrable underbrush, has long been a source of local legends and fears. Whispers of strange occurrences and sightings have only added to the town's mystique, and they are not done whispering. The winds that rustle through the trees seem to carry voices from the past, echoing the unanswered questions and unresolved mysteries. As the fog rolls in, it envelops the forest in a shroud of secrecy, leaving one to wonder what truths lie hidden within its depths. The fate of Whispering Pines may hang in the balance, but its story is far from over.